My boyfriend made fun of my small business, saying, "You'll never make real money." I didn't argue. Now he's applying for a job at my company. I remember the moment he said it, as if it happened yesterday. Ryan leaned back on the couch, smirking as he scrolled through his phone. "You know, babe," he said, not even looking up at me, "this whole business thing you're doing, it's kinda cute. But let's be real, you'll never make real money from it." I froze, my fingers tightening around the pen I was using to sketch out designs for my latest product. First, I thought he was joking. He had always been a little dismissive of my work, but I never imagined he truly believed I would fail. "You don't think I can make this work?" I asked, keeping my voice even. He shrugged. "I mean, sure, you might make a little side cash, but it's not a real job. It's not sustainable. You should be focusing on something more stable, something that actually pays the bills." That stung. I had been pouring my heart and soul into my small business for over a year, working late nights, handling everything from marketing to shipping by myself. I wasn't making six figures yet, but I was growing slowly but surely. I believed in what I was doing. I just hadn't realized that Ryan didn't. The worst part? He said it so casually, like it was a simple fact. Like I was wasting my time. I wanted to defend myself, to tell him how hard I was working, how I had plans to scale up, how I had just landed a big wholesale order that could change everything. But then I stopped. Why should I try to convince him? So instead of arguing, I just smiled. "Okay," I said simply. And I let it go. That was the moment something shifted in me. Ryan had never really supported my dreams, and I had been too blind, or maybe too in love, to fully see it before. But that day, his words planted a seed in my mind. I started paying attention to all the other little ways he belittled me, how he never took my work seriously, how he rolled his eyes whenever I talked about my goals. And slowly, I started pulling away. It didn't happen overnight. I didn't storm out, screaming about how he'd regret doubting me. No, I was patient. I watched. I learned. Ryan was the kind of guy who thought success meant a 9 to 5, climbing a corporate ladder and looking down on anyone who dared to take a different path. He wasn't a bad person, just small-minded. He wanted security, predictability. He didn't understand ambition unless it came with a company-issued paycheck. So I kept working in silence. I stopped asking for his opinion. I stopped sharing my wins with him, and eventually I stopped needing him altogether. By the time I broke up with him 6 months later, my business was already taking off. The big wholesale order turned into a repeat contract. Then another. Then another. I started hiring help, expanding my product line, and before I knew it, I was making more money than I ever had at my old job. Ryan, on the other hand, he was struggling. It was almost poetic, really. While he was stuck in a job he hated, watching his company downsize, I was thriving. My business was no longer just cute or a side hustle. It was real. I moved into a bigger apartment. I upgraded my workspace. I built a team. I was making real money, more than Ryan ever had. And then one day it happened. I was in my office, going through job applications for a new marketing position. We had grown so much that I needed a dedicated person to handle our social media and branding. And there it was. Ryan's name. First, I thought it was a joke. But no, it was real. He had applied, without realizing it was my company. And the best part? His resume was awful. I stared at the screen for a long moment, a slow smirk forming on my lips. Oh, this was going to be fun. I sat back in my chair, staring at Ryan's resume, a mixture of amusement and disbelief washing over me. It wasn't just that he had applied, it was how unprepared he seemed. His resume was filled with generic corporate jargon, inflated job titles, and a painfully obvious attempt to make himself sound more qualified than he really was. For someone who once looked down on my business, he certainly seemed desperate to work for it now. I could have just deleted his application and moved on, but where's the fun in that? Instead, I decided to invite him for an interview. I crafted a polite but professional email, disguising my excitement behind a formal tone. Subject: interview invitation for marketing associate position. Dear Ryan, thank you for applying to our marketing associate position. After reviewing your qualifications, we'd love to invite you for an interview to discuss your potential role within our company. Please let us know your availability for next week. Best regards, Emma, founder and CEO. I sent the email and leaned back, a smirk creeping across my lips. I couldn't wait to see his reaction. A week later, I sat in the conference room, my assistant Anna beside me, preparing for the interviews of the day. I had intentionally placed Ryan's appointment last, saving the best for last. When he finally walked through the door, my stomach did a little flip. Not because I missed him, but because he had no idea what was about to hit him. Ryan stepped inside, looking around, clearly impressed by the modern office space. He wore a stiff, ill-fitting suit, one that he probably thought would make him look more professional. His confidence was still there, but it wasn't the same as before. It looked forced. Then his eyes landed on me, and his entire face dropped. Emma, he blurted out. I gave him a perfectly professional smile. Ryan, welcome. Please have a seat. His jaw tensed as he hesitated before slowly sitting down. I could see it all over his face, confusion, embarrassment, and just a hint of panic. He was trying to process it, to understand how I, the girl whose business was never going to make real money, was the one sitting across from him as his potential employer. I folded my hands on the table. So, tell me, Ryan, why do you want to work for my company? Watching him squirm, Ryan cleared his throat, forcing a smile. Oh wow, this is unexpected. I had no idea this was your business. I kept my expression neutral. Is that a problem? He shook his head quickly. No, of course not. Wow, you really grew this, huh? I tilted my head. You sound surprised. He let out an awkward chuckle. No, yeah, I guess I am. I knew you were working on this, but I didn't realize it had become so successful. I nodded, letting him sit in the awkwardness for a moment before flipping open his resume. So, let's talk about your experience. You're applying for a marketing position. Can you walk me through your previous work in branding and digital strategy? I knew for a fact that Ryan had barely done anything in marketing. His last job was in a completely different field, but here he was, trying to stretch the truth to fit the role. He fumbled with his words, trying to sound impressive, but I could see right through him. Interesting, I said after a long pause. Because when we were dating, you always said marketing wasn't a real skill. He swallowed. Well, I've come to appreciate it more. I nodded. Right. And I'm sure you've really come to appreciate it now that you're looking for a job. Color drained from his face. I let the interview drag on, making him sweat through every question. He was floundering, scrambling for answers, and it was clear he had come unprepared, thinking he could just charm his way through like he always did. Finally, I leaned back and let out a small sigh. Ryan, let's be honest here. You're not the right fit for this role. His expression fell. Emma, please. I held up a hand, stopping him. You once told me my business would never make real money, that what I was doing wasn't sustainable. And yet, here you are, sitting across from me asking for a job. He had no response. I stood up, smoothing out my blazer. Thank you for your time, Ryan. We'll be in touch. He opened his mouth, then closed it. He looked like he wanted to argue, but deep down, he knew. I walked him to the door, and as he stepped out, he turned to me one last time. I was wrong about you, he admitted. You really made something out of this. I smiled. I know. And with that, I shut the door. But the best part? A few weeks later, he tried to follow me on social media. And when I checked my business's Instagram analytics, yup, there was a new anonymous account watching every single one of my posts. First, I ignored the anonymous account. People lurk all the time. But then I noticed a pattern. Every time I posted something, whether it was a business milestone, a fun night out, or even a casual coffee picture, the same account would be one of the first to view it. No likes, no comments, just watching. I smirked. Ryan wasn't just keeping tabs on me, he was obsessed. To make things even funnier, I started subtly flexing. Big things happening at the company. So grateful for this journey. Lunch meeting with an industry leader. Stay tuned for exciting news. Work hard, stay focused, and watch how everything falls into place. Each time I posted something like that, I could practically feel him seething on the other side of the screen. And then, just when I thought he couldn't be any more predictable, he finally cracked. One night, as I was winding down with a glass of wine, my phone buzzed with a new message. From Ryan. It was short. Just 3 words. Hey, long time. I let out a laugh. Of course he was going to reach out eventually. The whole lurking from a distance thing was never going to last. He wanted to open a door to see if there was any way to slip back into my life. I took a sip of my wine and debated whether to respond. I could ignore him. I could hit him with a sarcastic remark. Or I could have a little fun. I typed back. Oh hey Ryan. Didn't expect to hear from you. Everything okay? His response came immediately. Yeah, just saw your post. Looks like things are going great for you. I'm happy for you. I raised an eyebrow. Happy for me? Since when? I decided to push a little. Thanks. Company's doing amazing. Actually, we just closed a huge partnership. Things have never been better. Again, his response came almost too fast. That's really great. Wish we had more time to talk before, you know? I rolled my eyes. Here we go. Before what? I asked, playing dumb. Before everything changed. I've been doing a lot of thinking, Emma. And honestly, I miss you. I actually laughed out loud. The guy who mocked my dreams. The guy who thought he was too good for me. The guy who only saw my worth when it was profitable. Now he missed me? It was almost too pathetic. I decided to cut the game short. Ryan, I think you're just realizing what you lost. And honestly, I'm glad you did. But I don't miss you. At all. I hit send. No response. But you know what I did notice? That anonymous account? Gone. The next few days were oddly peaceful. No more random messages, no more anonymous views on my stories. It was like Ryan had finally accepted the truth and disappeared. Or so I thought. One afternoon, as I was wrapping up a strategy meeting, Anna burst into my office, barely holding back a grin. You're not gonna believe this. I raised an eyebrow. What now? She slid her phone across my desk. Ryan just applied again, to a different department. I nearly choked on my coffee. You're kidding. Anna shook her head. Nope. He must think if he applies under a different manager, he'll have a shot. I sighed, rubbing my temples. This guy is unreal. Do you want me to handle it? She asked, still smirking. I thought about it for a second, then smiled. No. Let's have some fun. This time, I made sure I was part of the interview panel. Ryan walked in looking nervous. His usual cocky demeanor nowhere to be found. He took one look at me, and I could see the color drain from his face. Ryan, I greeted, keeping my voice professional. Nice to see you again. Cleared his throat. Yeah, you too. The other interviewers went through their standard questions, and I stayed silent for most of it. But when it was my turn, I leaned forward, looking him right in the eye. So, Ryan, I said smoothly. What do you think makes you a good fit for our company? He swallowed hard. Well, I've always admired this company's growth, and I think I have skills that could contribute to. I tilted my head. That's interesting, because I distinctly remember you saying a business like this wouldn't make real money. Silence. The other panel members exchanged glances, clearly picking up on the tension. Ryan's face turned red. I was immature back then. I didn't understand. I nodded, pretending to be deep in thought. And yet here you are, crying. Again. He had nothing to say. I smiled, closing his file. Well, Ryan, we'll be in touch. 2 hours after the interview, my phone buzzed. Ryan. Again. I sighed, debating whether to open it. Curiosity won. Ryan, I get it. You wanted to embarrass me. Congrats, you win. But just so you know, I don't regret breaking up with you. I rolled my eyes. Even now, he couldn't admit he was wrong. I typed back one final message. Me, Ryan, I never needed you to regret it. I just needed you to watch me succeed without you. Mission accomplished. I hit send. A few moments later, his profile disappeared from my contacts. Blocked. I smiled to myself and set my phone down. Finally, it was over. And this time I was really done. Blocking Ryan felt like shutting the last door to a past life I no longer cared about. But honestly, didn't even feel like revenge anymore. I was just done. That night, I poured myself a glass of wine, curled up on my couch, and let myself take it all in. The journey, the struggles, the nights I doubted myself. Everything I built, it was mine. And nothing Ryan said or did could take that away. But just as I was about to put my phone away, another message popped up. This time from Anna. Anna, you are not gonna believe this. Check link. Curious, I clicked. It was a Reddit thread. Title: ITA for not hiring my ex-boyfriend after he made fun of my business? I nearly dropped my phone. It was my story, my exact situation, written from my perspective but posted anonymously. And the comments? Hilarious. Top comment: not only are you NTA, but I hope you sent him a rejection email with a remember when you said this? Screenshot attached. Another comment: dude got humbled so hard he probably has whiplash. I burst out laughing. Anna, did you post this? Anna, nope, but I think someone in the office did. The whole company is talking about it. I shook my head, chuckling. I swear, I didn't even mean to humiliate him this much. Anna, he did it to himself. Honestly, she was right. Ryan had played himself. The next few weeks flew by. Company kept growing. I landed a major partnership and my brand became even bigger. And Ryan? Radio silence. No more fake accounts, no more desperate messages. It was like he finally got the hint and faded into irrelevance. One day, while heading into a high-profile networking event, I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror. Confident, happy, thriving. I smiled. I wasn't winning because of Ryan. I was winning because I believed in myself, something he never did. And that was all the closure I'd ever need.